Well, I'm going to talk just a bit about our strategic plan and how we can tie everything together between the strategic plan, the metrics board, and our LEM goals. So let me just take a moment and remind us that we actually do have a strategic plan. And it has our values, our mission, our vision, everything that is fundamental to the operations of our organization. And within that strategic plan, we also have some key assumptions. Those key assumptions are our assumptions about the environment that we are in now, and more importantly, the environment that we think we're going to be in the future. And those assumptions are very, very important for us because, as we know, healthcare is changing quite a lot. Now, the role of our board is to look at the environment, develop those key assumptions, apply them to our mission, vision, and values, and then they define for us what we need to look like to be successful in that new environment. So in this case, they have defined for us 10 characteristics or 10 strategic characteristics. Things like we need to change the way we think of ourselves into Hancock Health and away from Hancock Regional Hospital. And you could go through the whole list. I encourage you to look at these. We have handed these out at all associate meetings in the past. But please talk to your department director or myself or anyone on the leadership team, and we can make sure that you have these. So the role of our board is to look at the environment, establish those assumptions, and then establish those strategic characteristics that we need to embody in order to be successful in that future environment. Our role then, as the associates of the organization, are to take those assumptions, take those characteristics, and say, how do we get from where we're at today to the point where we actually look like those strategic characteristics, those 10, that list of 10. And we do that by applying these pillars: service, quality, finance, people, growth, and community, which is also population health. We apply those pillars and we say, how do we then achieve those 10 characteristics that the board has set for us? And inside that strategic plan, we have our objectives segregated by pillar. So the first pillar that you would find if you looked at the strategic plan is quality and safety. And inside this pillar, we have very specific objectives. So in the past, if you were to look at our strategic plan, you might have noticed that we would say things that were a bit ill-defined, like we need to do better on patient safety, or we need to reduce the number of falls that we have. What we have done is made these very, very specific. So for example, we want to decrease our year-to-date registered non-intentional patient falls at Hancock Regional Hospital from 81 to 70. Very specific objective, very measurable, very trackable. And we believe that if we were to achieve that objective, that we would make a step toward being more aligned with those 10 characteristics that the board has laid out for us. So what you would see in here in the quality and safety pillar are some very, very specific objectives. What you would also then find inside the strategic plan are lists of tactics or to-do lists saying, if we were to do these particular things, we believe that we could achieve that objective that we have laid out. Now, one of the things that I want to highlight for us is that when you look at our metrics board, there are 3 columns on here, and as you might notice, each of our metrics are segregated also by pillars. So we have quality, service, people, growth, community, and finance. So same pillars that you saw earlier. And one of the columns is our 2016 target. That's where we want to be. Now, what you would find, if you looked at this carefully, is that those targets inside the metric board are identical to the objectives that are in the strategic plan. So for quality and safety, we have an objective that is patient falls with injury, and we want to reduce that. And you would find that same number or that same target within the metrics board as you would find within the objectives on the strategic plan. So it's very important to know that those are the same. And then in order to really make sure that we achieve these objectives, we have engaged in our partnership of the Hi-Fi program with the Studer Group. And the Studer Group has a software program called the Leader Evaluation Manager, or the LEM. We call it the LEM. We have loaded into the LEM these exact objectives. So the objectives that you would see in the strategic plan on the pillar level and the metrics that you would see on the metrics board are exactly the same things that we have loaded into the Leader Evaluation Manager. What I'd like to do is jump out and show you just a brief demonstration of that Leader Evaluation Manager. So here we are in the Leader Evaluation Manager software package. And you can see in here that we have a list of about 60 people inside the organization that are actually in it for an account. These would include our executive leadership team, myself, our department directors, unit coordinators, everyone that essentially is in a managerial position has an account here. And within this leader evaluation manager, we have a couple of different things that I'm going to just show you. The first is the annual evaluation. And I'm going to use for this particular one, Teresa Luder. Teresa is our department director for the Andis Women's Unit, and she has a wonderful annual evaluation to use for an example, and she has given me permission. So Teresa, if you're watching this, thank you very much. So what you would find is inside her Leader Evaluation Manager account are a number of goals, and they are aligned by pillars. So you should see that this pillar idea is carried through with everything we do. So in this particular one, you would see there is the pillar of service. And under the pillar of service, we have a goal that says that the Andis Women's Unit would like to achieve the 84th percentile rank year to date for the HCAHPS composite area of responsiveness for OB. And that this is aligned with an overarching goal that says inpatient HCAHPS survey 80th percentile rank. Now the important point here is that if you were to look at the strategic plan, and if you were also then to look at the metrics board, you would see a goal on there that we would be at the 80th percentile on the HCAHPS survey. So that overarching goal is where that alignment takes place. Now what Teresa has done is she has said, well, there is an HCAHPS survey for OB. So on that OB survey, in the area of responsiveness, because there are a number of questions that are associated with responsiveness of nurses on that unit, that they would like to be at the 84th percentile rank for that particular question. Now we have ranked how we actually measure this. So if our goal is 84th percentile, we have a 1 to 5 rating scale. 5 is higher and 1 is lower. So a 3 on this would be an 84. So if we got the 84th percentile, we would be given a 3. Well, we can see that through the end of February, the rank on that particular question for OB is actually 89. So that is higher than 84, and in fact it's higher than the goal for a number 4, and in fact it is the equivalent of what you would take to get a rank of 5. So a 5 here is 88 and above. The actual score is an 89. That means, as you can see right here, that the current scoring for this particular objective is a 5. So we could roll down through some of these goals. We could see the next goal is to achieve the 90th percentile rank year to date for the HCAHPS composite area of nurse communication. So this particular one is those set of questions about communication between a nurse and a patient, and the goal is a 90. So a 3 on this would be a 90, and on that particular question year to date through the end of February, we have an 89. So an 89 is lower than our goal. And in fact, it fits into this range, which would give us a number 2. So it's between 88 and 89. So our rank on this particular one on the 5-point scale is a 2. We can go down and look at a few more of these. Here's another one that's HCAHPS. Let's pick something different. Let's look at, actually down here under finance, achieve or exceed man-hour per statistic at or below the 25th percentile as measured by the Truven report. Well, this is aligned with the goal on expense per adjusted discharge. We have very specific goals about how to get to a lower number there. And it's actually created from a template this time. And you can see that our number by the end of January was 21. And our goal is to be between 21 and 25. That would be a 3. And so you can see that is in that 3 range. Now, the idea that I'm trying to get at here is that because our performance is tracked in comparison to a specific goal, and those goals each are ranked on a 1 to 5 scale, that if we took all of these together and looked at how we're doing overall, we can get a number between 1 and 5. So if you look right here, the overall performance score as of the end of February for the Andis Women's Unit is a 3.8. I hope everyone follows this. This is how it is programmed into the system. Now, here's the thing. We have these goals that are overarching that come off of the strategic plan and the metrics board. We then have those overarching goals built into the leader evaluation manager, and then each department has very specific sub-goals that align with those overarching goals. But then how do we make sure that we actually make progress? How do we make sure that if our goal is to hit the 84th percentile, that we're actually doing something about that? Well, inside the Leader Evaluation Manager is something called a 90-day plan. So each person in their account has a 90-day plan that they put together in coordination with the folks in their department, and that is reviewed with the VP or myself, depending on the department, for approval. So again, one of the goals that Teresa would have for the Andis Women's Unit is this: achieve the 84th percentile rank year-to-date on the HCAHPS Composite Area of Responsiveness for OB. That's aligned with our inpatient HCAHPS survey 80th percentile rank goal off of the strategic plan and off of the metrics board. And then we know that year-to-date through the end of February, we actually have an 89 on that, so we have a rating of 5. But here's how we know that things are happening. So the 90-day goal that started in January, so it's for the first quarter of the year, is to achieve the 80th percentile by the end of March, and you can see that right here. And year to date, the rank was 78.57. So here are very specific action steps that Teresa and her team have laid out. Meeting with the unit-based council on the goal, looking at reading and researching ways to improve the responsiveness question, developing hourly rounding with our OB patients. So here are some very specific action steps that they are taking up there. And then here are some of the results. So they're actually looking at it on a monthly basis. Have we actually done this action step that we've talked about? And then they indicate whether their status is going in the right direction or not. So here is a tool, and we could scroll down and see this for all the different goals. You can see there's a 90-day goal, there's some action steps, there's some results, and there's a status. So this tool provides us not only the ability to build in these goals and to build in the sub-goals at the department level, but also provides a tool for making sure that we have action plans that are in place and that we then in fact actually do those action plans. So I hope you see how this all works. Now we're going to jump back out to our PowerPoint, and I just want to remind us of a couple of things. So the first one is that we do have the LEM. We've just looked at the LEM, and that the strategic plan and the metrics board and the Leader Evaluation Manager are all linked together through that goal set. The same set of goals and objectives that are inside the strategic plan, the metrics board, are also inside the LEM. So I hope that you're following that. Then we also recall that we have an organizational plan that is tied to the metrics board. So we've taken about 9 of those metrics and we have actually allocated an incentive against them. And as we do better on those particular metrics, then there is a certain dollar value that we can all earn at the end of the year. But it is funded by our operating margin. So if we make money, then money can be allocated into that plan. If we don't make enough money by the end of the year, then we can't fund that plan. Now this year, for the first time, we have not only the organization level plan, but we have a department level plan as well. And it is tied entirely to that Leader Evaluation Manager, and we have pre-funded that. Essentially, we have said if we allocate funding for that now at the department level, we believe we will all work harder to achieve those objectives, and that we will achieve the big organizational objectives as a result. So within that Leadership Evaluation Manager, as we have seen, there are goals that are straight from the strategic plan and the metrics board. We have pillars. Those pillars are weighted. We have goal accomplishment that we track on that monthly basis, and it's on that 5-point scale where 3 is meeting the goal, less than 3 is not meeting the goal, and more than 3 is exceeding the goal. We then also looked at the Andis Women's Unit, and actually as of the time that I put this together, they had a score of 3.5. Now you've just seen that their latest score is a 3.8, but a 3.5 on a 5-point scale is about 70%. So in this model, if we were to end the year today, everyone in the Andis Women's Unit would receive 70% of $1,000 or $700. And that would be regardless of whether the organizational incentive plan actually had paid out, whether we had hit the margin goal. And it would also be regardless of the performance of other departments. So there are some departments that may end the year at a 2.5 and they would get no payout. There would be other departments that might end the year at a 4.5 and they would get a bigger payout. The idea is that there is an incentive payment that is at the department level that is based on those department-specific objectives that are tied together with the strategic plan and also with the metrics board. So I hope that that was helpful for you. We have just taken a few minutes to look at how we tie all of this together. And what I would remind you again is that it really is all tied together. The strategic plan, the metrics board, and the leader evaluation manager all use the same objectives, and we're all moving in that same direction. Everything is aligned, and so we're trying to align our goals, our objectives, and then our actions as well. I hope this has been helpful for you. If you do have any questions, please talk to your department director, talk to one of the VPs, talk to myself. I would love to talk to you more about this, and we are excited about the direction we're going and the alignment that we have around our goals here at Hancock Health.